2, 3, go.
Okay, we're on part 3. It's your boy Fred again. I'm going to go ahead and say it for y'all this time. Alright, so what are we doing now? We're taking the words and we're converting it into the equation. So let's start with the first one. Now, hopefully, well, not hopefully, by this time I know y'all have watched part 1 and part 2. So let's bring it all together now, right? It's a linear function. So from what I said in part 1, we're going to use, I'll even write it for you this time. We're going to use the vertex form. Vertex form is going to be ax minus h plus k. This is for linear. So while I reflect over the x-axis, it's going to be we already know that's going to be negative. Moves up by 4. Whenever I move up or down, that's always going to be on the y-axis, so that's also going to be my k. So I'm going to put k here. And then shifting to the right is always going to be my h. Anyway, from left to right, which is my x. So I should move from left to right, always be my x. Now the key thing about this whole equation is, anytime I have h, if I move to the right, it always got to be the opposite of what I write in the equation. So for this instance, I'm not shrinking anywhere, so I'm going to leave only thing I'm doing is I'm going negative, right? So I'm going to put my negative first. And my a in this situation is going to be 1. It's going to stay the same. So negative 1. My x always stays there. My h goes right 3. So if it goes to the right 3, opposite of that would be negative 3. And then it's to the first power, and I'm going up by 4. So positive 4. That's my equation. Alright? So I took the vertex form of this equation, and I put in all the aspects of what they're giving me. Let's do another one. Absolute value. Absolute value has the a on the outside, x, h, absolute value like that, and k. Now, up by 3. If we go up by 3, that's going to be our x's and our y's, right? So this would be my k. If I go to the left by 4, that's like I said earlier, it's going to be my x's. So I always move left and right, which is also my h. So let's bring it all together now. I know it stays positive, so I can leave the a out. X, if I move left by 4, if I move left, I can do the opposite of left for h. That's going to be a positive 4. When I go up, the k stays the same, so it'll be positive 3. That's my equation. Alright? Quadratic. Now the quadratic has a little bit more this time. Same thing, the a on the outside, quadratic is always to the second power. So x minus h squared plus k. Now, let's go through. So that's our absolute value. Shift to the right by 10. So I shift to the right by 10. That means that I'm moving my x and my y's. My x's. I'm moving my x's from left to right. So in this situation, it's going to be h. And I go up by 5. That's going to be my k. I'm going to put a k right here. And it widens by 1 over 5. When I widen, that's going to be my, which one is it? My h, my k, or my a? When I widen, it's going to be my a. So in this situation, I widen, so my a will be 1 over 5. My x will go right here, always, minus my h, so the right by 10. So the right by 10, that's opposite of right, would be a positive, so positive 10. And I have a squared here, and it goes up by how many? Up by 5, so it'll be plus 5. Alright? So let's say 5 here. So 1 over 5, x minus 10 squared plus 5. Now our last one, our cubic. Our cubic graph always has, our cubic function always has to the third power. So let me erase what I have, everything else so everyone can see. I don't get anybody confused. To the third power. The formula for the cubic is going to be a on the outside, x minus h to the third power plus k. So what do we have? Our reflect over the x-axis is going to be a negative. It didn't say anything about widen, so I'm going to leave the 1 there. It's going to go, moves up by 4. That's going to be my k. It shifts to the left by 6. So the opposite of left would be, that'd be my h. So let's bring it all together. I have a negative in the front. I have an x. And then I shift to the left, so look to the left, I can do the opposite left, would be positive 6, and then it's going to be cubic to the third, and then be plus, my k is going to be 4. Alright? So all you gotta do is you have to memorize, one thing you see here, you have to memorize your vertex form for each function. That's key, and then you plug in what you need, and you have your equation. Alright, one more example. Now let's piece everything together. Let's see if we can do a graph. Now, based on what I showed you in part 1 and part 2, which graph is this? Let's break this down first. This graph right here is going to be my quadratic. So what does a quadratic look like? It looks just like quadratic has a U, so it looks just like a U, right? So in this situation we have a -2, so H is always the opposite. So -2 gives me a +2. My K always stays the same, so it's +2, 1. So I'm going to go to the graph, I'm going to go +2, and I'm going to go up 1. That's where my vertex is. Now it faces up because it's positive, and I know I can just draw it stays the same, so I'm going to draw the graph. I'm not real specific on how I want the graph to, you don't have to be very specific on how you want the graph. All I'm really focused on is I want you to be able to understand how the graph works and how to draw it. Now, my domain situation, based on this graph, is going to be from -infinity to +infinity, because it goes from a left, because as this is getting bigger this way, and going to the positive infinity, it's going to get bigger this way, and it's going to positive infinity this way, it's going to get bigger this way. That's why the domain is from -infinity to +infinity. Now my range is always from bottom to top. So where's my bottom? My y-axis on the bottom. It's going to be 1. And it's going all the way to, where's it going up to? +infinity. My interval of increase. Now my interval of increase is always my x-axis. Always my x's. So we want to go ahead and already say it's always my x's. So I go from, where am I increasing from? Let me help y'all out. As I take my finger and I go down this way, is it increasing or decreasing? If it's moving down, it's going to be decreasing. And then when my finger is moving up, it's going to be increasing. So where does it, so let's start with just increasing first. What interval does it increase? It's always my axis, so it goes from 2 to which direction? +infinity. So from 2 to +infinity. And where does it decrease from? It comes from, as it's going down this way, it's coming from -infinity and it's going all the way to 2. So from -infinity to +2. Now, do I have a max point in the situation? Is there a point that's higher than all the other points? No. So I'm going to go ahead and throw in NA, not applicable in this situation. Now, do I have a minimum point? Do I have a minimum point? Is there a smallest point? Is there only one point that's smaller than the rest? Yes. The smallest point that we got right here is going to be 2, 1. Now, where is our end behavior? This is our end behavior here. As x is getting, this is the positive, which is the right side of the graph. This is the right, and this is the left side. On the right side of the graph, where's the graph going to? +infinity. That's the right side. This is the left side. This graph is going to negative. This graph is on the left side is going up this way, right? So it's also going to +infinity. And that's the left side. So based on what we've done, we are able to graph the function and give basic characteristics of what the graph might look like and get an idea where it starts and begins. So now that you've done all those, you should be perfectly fine. Hopefully this helps. If you have any questions, come ask me. I would love for extra bonus points. If you want to get extra bonus points, I would love for you to, I'm going to give you a problem. Let's give you a problem. For extra bonus points, I want you to be able to, for this graph right here, for extra bonus points, I want you to give me the vertex of this graph. Tell me what graph it is. Tell me, for example, the domain, the range, and be able to draw it just like I did for the last example. If you ever come to me and explain how you did all those characteristics of the graph like we've been doing, I'll give you extra 5 bonus points. Alright? On a test. Just help you out. Alright? Have a good day. It's your boy Fred again. Part 1, Part 2, and 3. We out.